great big huge crowd. This is my first time attending, and I had no clue this many people would be here tonight. And I do have a ALTN speaker, and when she came in, she said, "You didn't tell me there was going to be this many people." And I said, "I didn't know there was going to be this many people." But it's good to see all of you. I'm an Al-Anon member, have been for almost 6 years now, and almost a couple years ago, we started a ALTN program. It's on Tuesday nights at Covenant Presbyterian Church on Sunset Drive. And we would love to have some more teens involved. Right now we've got 4 that are faithful that attend the meeting, and we're wanting it to really grow. We have the ALTN program. We have several members. There have to be 2 adults at the meeting, so we had to have several members, and they're called AMIAs. And I have several of them here with us tonight, and I'd like for them to stand, please. Couldn't do this on Tuesday nights, and there's also a meeting on Wednesdays at the Recovery Center at 7 o'clock. We couldn't do this without the AMIA's members, and I'm very grateful. And we got a very special young lady that is so courageous, smart, just a very eloquent young lady, and she will be speaking tonight. And just give her a warm welcome, please.
My name's Peyton. Hi. I don't really remember exactly when the entirety of my story happened. My mom is my qualifier, and she's currently a year and about 3 months sober. So. She started drinking when I was about 5, I'd say, 4 or 5. My dad said that it started as just like tiny little, he calls them airplane bottles, like the really tiny ones. And he was in the military, so he was deployed and gone a lot. And we were away from family, so it was mainly just me, my mom, and my older brother. And I don't know what started it, but it doesn't matter. She started with like airplane bottles, and it started out not as a problem, and then once we moved here to Tennessee, she started to drink more, and it was 3 years ago, that she really started to become an alcoholic, I guess. It was really tough. There were a lot of things that stressed her out. There were a lot of stuff at home, and especially COVID, I think that really hit her. And her dad was in the hospital a couple times. He had multiple heart attacks. And her parents didn't really like to come down because they were too afraid to get away from the hospitals and doctors in case something happened with my grandfather. And we were just kind of dealing with it alone because nobody else we knew had the problem or wanted to help in the family because they all live in West Virginia. And we did all of the wrong things, but we did what we thought was best. We would pour it out. We would take her car keys, hide them from her, take tires off of cars, hook her battery, everything. You know, we would gather all of the keys in the house, put them in one collective spot where only my dad knew where they were. So that way she couldn't try to get it out of me or my brother. You know, we would make sure that all the guns were locked up and everything. And that's nothing, everything we did, we made it worse. And we didn't know about that until she went to rehab. And the way that we got her into rehab was her mom and sister had to come down and get her. She was working at Walmart, and apparently she would call out of work sick and just sit in the parking lot and drink all day. And there was one day where it was like 7 o'clock, 3 hours after she was supposed to be home, and it wasn't in the safest place, so me and my dad got in the car and went to go make sure she was okay. And we have Life 360, which is where you can like track everybody on their phones, and we loved it. We started it when she was a realtor because a lot of realtors were going missing and stuff. And so we used that to find out exactly where she was, and we got there and she was passed out drunk in her car. So my dad went up and knocked on her window, and he could smell it immediately. And she woke up and just drove off. My dad and I didn't know what to do, so we called my grandma, her mom, and was like, what do you want us to do? We collectively agreed to call the cops because we were tired of it. Something needed to happen. And so we told them where she was, or where she was at least headed to, with the help of Life 360, Life Changer. And they got there before we did, but they only got her on public intoxication because she was outside of the vehicle. And so they just put her in the drunk tank. She got released at about 3 in the morning, and I was asleep in bed, and I get a call from my aunt, and she says, they released your mom, but we don't know where she is because she never called anybody or anything. And she told me that her and my grandma were down there looking for her. And I was like, okay, I'll wake up my dad, we're on our way. So I wake up my dad and we go searching for her. And it was about 5 hours before we knew where she was. And we only knew where she was because she had sent an email somehow and was like, where are my car keys? She had made it home somehow. We never figured out how she made it home, but she did. And it was like 8 o'clock in the morning at that point. And so my dad and I were already almost home because at that point we had decided to just go home and just wait till she popped up or something, because we'd already called the cops again, was like, hey, this is what happened, we can't find her. And so we had an intervention with her, and my grandma and her sister, my mom's sister, they took her to rehab. And she was there for about 2 months maybe, and then she got out and just stayed living with her mom. And that was kind of good for my grandma because my grandpa had passed, and I think that really set my mom back a little bit. But that happened before she went into rehab, and she kept claiming that it was because my grandma needed help, and it took us about a year to convince her to come back. And it took me and my brother saying, either you come back or we lose all communications with you and we're done. And that finally got her, so she's been home, and that's about where we're at now. So, thank you.
I'm JD, I'm an alcoholic, and I want to say thank you, young lady. It took a lot of bravery to come up in front of all these people and tell that story, and it made me think a lot about what my kids may have gone through during my addiction. So hearing it come from a child's perspective really hits a little different. So thank you very much. Okie dokie. Well, I hope everybody got their votes in and had the delicious chili and all the cookies and all that stuff. I'm going to introduce a speaker tonight. My friend from Florida who was supposed to come and speak He called me 2 days ago and had gotten the flu, and then called me yesterday and was in the hospital with pneumonia. So his 9th anniversary was also yesterday too. So he's spending his sober anniversary in the hospital with pneumonia and didn't get to come. He was pretty bummed out. He was really looking forward to it and seeing how we do it in Tennessee. So the next speaker, I found a guy who, when I think of recovery, I think of this guy. When I think of a peaceful spirit, I think of this guy. When I think of someone who lives by the 12 steps, I think of this guy. And I've grown to love him and really respect this man. So I know he's got a heck of a story, and I appreciate him coming in on such short notice so he can speak to you guys. It's Mr. Jason Abernathy.
Hi, you guys. I'm clearly not Jason Abernathy. We're going to give him to y'all in just a second. So we wanted to announce your winner for the chili. So we had a third place tie. So our third place tie was number 23 and number 5. Who's 23 and who's 5? Tracy? That's your third place winner, y'all. And then your second place winner is number 9. Where's number 9? Shauna! Even though Ethan totally tried to sabotage you, you still came in second. Good for you. All right. And the winner of the golden spoon.
Hold on, this one, I had the wrong spoon.
Oh, that's fantastic. So the winner raised $222, y'all. Who was number 20? Thank you all so much for voting now. Mr. Abernathy.
And I got a phone for sale up here. It looks like, it's recording. Oh, it's recording. What? Hello? Hello? What was that? Wrong end. I'm gonna have to adjust this microphone. And I don't know who this guy JD was talking about, so I'll climb in here. How's everybody doing? I'm a musician that can't work a microphone stand. What's that tell you? I'm Jason Abernathy. I'm an alcoholic. And I am grateful to be here with you all. And I'm going to talk about what I was like, what happened, and what I'm like now. So, how you doing, young lady? And I'm going to try to get through this one in one piece. Thank you. I'm blessed to have my family here this evening. My wife and daughter, my beautiful wife and beautiful daughter over there, Paula and Peyton. Once upon a time, you couldn't have told me that would have happened. So I agree with JD, that took a lot of guts to get up here. And hearing it from that perspective, we don't realize what a tornado we are in the lives of those around us, do we? Can anybody out there relate? We're going to have fun tonight. Y'all going to have to get yourself together here. We're going to make some noise. Because I don't want to be all humdrum like an alligator. My sobriety date is May 22nd, 2013. 2013. Is that right, Steve? 2013. I burnt part of my brain, y'all, so you'll have to roll with me this evening. And I don't know exactly which way this will go. I never do, because I just pray before I come up and ask God for the right words, for the right crowd, for the right time, for everything just to land. So, can everybody hear me okay? Yeah. Because that's something else. I tried to be calm. Tracy, was that a yes? All right. I tried to be calm because I wasn't always calm, y'all. Sometimes, and if the head goes all to hell, the body follows, you know. So I just try to be calm and level and all the good things. Now, I've got a couple of big books up here with me this evening. Mine, that was given to me by my sponsor years ago. And then I've got a book from our good friend James Dean, Brother James. And I was going to, I miss him. James was a big part of my recovery, and I was going through his book. I was blessed to get it from his sister. I'm going through one of his old books last night, and I opened up to a part, and if we get led that direction, there's something I'm going to read out of it. So, but I do always read a few things. Those of y'all that heard me speak, it's okay to go ahead and go to sleep now. Steve, I know that Chili's wearing on you, so just go ahead and get your nap in. And if this didn't worth the price of admission, y'all go ahead and go. All right, and ask Tabitha for your money back. All right. But anyway, there's a few things that I usually lead off with out of the big book, and hopefully y'all don't mind me speaking from the big book this evening. If you do, call your sponsor. Because the bearded dude don't care, because this right here, God in this book, this program, sponsorship, the fellowship of AA helped save my life, so. In the doctor's opinion, it says, later he requested the privilege of being allowed to tell his story to other patients here, and with some misgiving, we consented. I think that's hilarious. They're like, well, I don't know if they'll let this go or not. I think they made the right choice, because here we are, 80-some years later? So something went down right. And this is a privilege, it's an honor. JD, I really appreciate you reaching out to me. I hate you think that make it and sending prayers that he'll get healed up and he'll be with us for the next one. So, On page 20, our very lives as ex-problem drinkers depend upon our constant thought of others and how we may help meet their needs. And I always like to read that because I like to be reminded. Constant thought of others, not Jason, and how we may help meet their needs, not Jason's needs. Right? You know, there have been many good men in this program since I came along that have showed me a lot, taught me a lot, been graceful with me, and for that, I'm truly grateful. And I'm sitting here, I'm thinking about the first time I ever shared my story early on. Lou asked me to come down there and speak at the old group down there near Muncie Church. And it was hilarious because I don't know if there's a few people that are around that remember that, but it was a complete drunk-a-log. It was crazy. It was hilarious looking back on it and the people I've talked to since. But, through the years I've tried to rein that in. So again, I want to talk about what I was like, what happened, what I'm like now. I like to talk about the solutions, which is why I like to use this book. So I'm going to talk about some things about the way the bearded one was before he was bearded back in the day, and then how it crashed and where we're at today. So I'm 51. I just turned 51. Was it last week, Paula? See, I can't remember. But I started drinking, had my first, I won't say my first drink, as a kid. Some of y'all in here remember, if you're children of the 70s or you were drinking in the 70s, them little hand grenade Miller Pony bottles. And my dad liked them awful good, and he would leave them set sometimes, and they would look, and they would be gone. So I had my first drink very young. But the first time that I sat out and got lit, and that meant something different back then, Peyton. It meant something different. What they talk about today, being lit today, it's completely, y'all in here know what I mean when I say being lit. But at 13, I went over to a friend's house, and his mom was one of those moms like what they call social hosting nowadays. You know, come over here and drink. If you're going to do it, you're going to be here and do it so we keep an eye on you. You can't keep an eye on a bunch of cats. You're trying to herd a bunch of little drunk 15-year-old, 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 15-year-old cats. You just can't do it. But I remember going over there and that night and getting into drinking a bunch of beer and waking up that next morning and laying in the floor and kind of getting my eyes about me and wondering where I was at. And I was thinking, that was pretty cool. And then I stood up. So your boy experienced a hangover the very first time he ever went out there and just hammered it. And I had to pedal my little bicycle all the way across Kingsport to get to the house I was supposed to be at, because I was at a house I was not supposed to be at. So here I am pedaling my little bike up the road, and instead of having a window to yak out of, I'm just riding that little bicycle and going. People coming down in front of the Fort Henry Mall are probably thinking, what is wrong with that little kid over there? You know? And my buddies were laughing at me, so. But that night, I don't even know if any of y'all can relate to this, but up to that point, I never felt like I belonged. Can anybody relate? Yeah, I never felt like I was a part of, I felt apart from, right? And this beautiful journey of recovery has shown me, where I've learned that I had depression as a kid. So, you know, I was always just kind of different. And Paula will tell you, because I've known my beautiful wife now for a long time, grew up with her brother, and I was a mad little kid sometimes, wasn't I? A little mean look on my face, and a lot of that was just that introvert in me. And now there's no introvert now. Y'all, I mean, I'm standing up here, we can get up here with the Pope and do a talk, we ain't worried about it. But play music in a Santa Claus outfit, yeah, right here on this stage, burned down, son. If y'all wasn't here, if you know, you know. If you weren't here, you missed it. But anyway, I just never felt a part of. I felt apart from. I got picked at a lot, you know, freckle face. There's a lot of freckles. Well, it's more like a tan nowadays. They've grown together. There's a lot of freckles under this beard, and you know, kind of had buck teeth and stuff, and got picked at, and you know, all the things. And I was kind of a clown. I learned to wear a mask early on. Can anybody relate to that? You know, sometimes I would do things, you know, just to kind of try to get people to like me, and that's not a good way to be. You don't build good self-esteem that way, right? But I did what I did, and that night I thought, man, this is the trick right here, because I finally felt like the round peg going in the round hole instead of the square round and all that stuff. So I did that, and I remember the next time that I set out to drink, I was trying to drink beer and I couldn't get it down. You know, like if you ever have a stomach bug right after you eat your favorite thing like pizza or something and you can't eat it no more, that's tragic, right? If I couldn't eat pizza, man, I don't know how it could go on, right? So, but I was smart enough. I'm at this party, and I thought, well, I can mix Pepsi with that beer and put it in my body, and I did. And you might be an alcoholic, y'all. Now, granted, it's way down the road when I kind of caught on to this whole thing that I've got a problem. But yeah, so I mixed it with Pepsi, and it was nasty, but it produced the desired effect. And, you know, I kind of went on through, I guess that would have been early high school or something, but I went on through high school, and I never was I didn't have to drink, but I liked drinking. You know, because I know that every time that I did it, it changed the way I felt. And I felt like I belonged. So I made it through high school, and I got out. And I remember I did the bare minimum to graduate. You know, and I knew I had entertained college at one point, you know, when I was probably a sophomore or something, but I knew when I got in my junior year, I said, I do not belong in college. I was definitely a frat boy. I did the frat thing in reverse. You know, I did the Animal House thing in reverse. I was a frat boy, and I didn't want nothing to do with school. I went to college later on, and we'll get to that. But, so I thought, I need to go in the Marine Corps, right? I said, I'll go in there. And the cool thing about the Marine Corps was they paid me to be a wild man and a drinker. That's part of it. But when I when I enlisted between my junior and senior year in 1991. As I graduated in 92, and me and my best friend, we signed up on a buddy program. And, you know, we partied, we had a good time. Partied the summer we graduated. I remember going to Paris Island, and I thought, this is gonna be awesome. And then I showed up there. Y'all ever see that movie Full Metal Jacket? Yeah. You know, them little yellow footprints out front of that building. We got on that bus. I was just talking the other day, I went to MEPS in Knoxville, flew to Atlanta and everything was cool, and we were flying to Charleston. I thought, yeah, I'm gonna get off, we'll hang out, it'll all be good, we'll get on that bus. We got off there in Charleston, y'all, and they saw us because we had them little packets. Ethan had them little Eagle Globe and Anchor on, and there's a little staff sergeant. He said, you, knife hand, yeah, you, over here. You know, sit in that chair, your back straight, your feet at 45-degree angle, left hand, left knee, right knee, don't say shit. And I said, okay. This ain't what I thought it was going to be, but here we are, right? So things changed. You know, I was away from home. I was homesick. Obviously, I didn't have alcohol to deal with all that, but didn't realize back then that I needed it to deal with that. But I did all the things, you know, got through boot camp, all was good, came home. We had 10 days boot leave, and like a good alcoholic, I squeezed about 12 days worth of drunk out of 10 days. And Peyton and I went back, we went through, you know, infantry school and stuff, and after we did that, we got split up. And he went on over to Camp Lejeune, and I went up for another training, and then ended up in Norfolk, Virginia with a security force unit. So fast forward a little bit, you know, I'm living my best life. I'm 19 years old, I think, at the time. And we had payphones in the barracks. Now, a lot of y'all in here know what payphones are. Some of y'all are like, what's that? What, you put quarters where? And it's got like a string attached to it, and you can't walk all over the place and text everybody. No, there wasn't no texting. But I remember I got off duty one morning and got a call. Got off duty, and we were partying, you know, and I got a call that evening. And they said, Abernathy, you got a call on the second deck on a payphone. And I remember going down there and answering it, and it was a call that changed my life and my drinking. My dad had called me to tell me, he said, son, I don't know how to tell you this, I'm just going to tell you. And he told me that my friend Peyton had been shot in a training thing. And y'all, that changed my world. I'm away from home, I'm homesick. I can't tell nobody this. I can't tell none of these, you know, platoon leaders or squad leaders or anything like that. And so after I got off the phone, you know, I remember thinking to myself, just, I hope it wasn't in the head or anything like that. Maybe he'll be all right, but he wasn't. So the next day, had to work through some things. At first, they weren't going to let me come home, and I decided I was coming home because that's that other good alcoholic trait we have. We're rebels, right? You smiling, you know. Don't tell me I can't. And but anyway, finally got it worked out, and I got to come home, and that changed me. I was 19 years old as a kid. So from there on, my drinking kind of took a turn. Now, I'm still not able to go buy alcohol, but there was plenty of people that were willing to get it for me. So, you know, we did our thing, and I made it through the Marine Corps. And I was honorably discharged. It wasn't from lack of trying not to be. There was plenty of opportunities, I promise y'all. It's kind of funny, you know, sometimes they'd be like, this is a mandatory party, you gotta come, drink all you want, but then get caught drinking when it wasn't one of the mandatory parties, and you start getting page 11s and NJP and all that stuff. Any of you veterans in here know what I'm talking about. But I made it through there and came out the end of it, and got discharged. And I came back to the world here, and I didn't have a college education, and I thought, well, what am I going to do? And my dad, he was a Marine, and he was a police officer. So I thought, well, you know what? I don't have to have an education to do that. You know, they're looking for military people all the time. So I went into the law world about 6 months after I got out. And I went into that world because I wanted to help people. You know, I am not your ticket guy. I'm not a highway patrol guy, I promise y'all that. I could not stand that stuff. I wanted to get bad guys that were hurting people and robbing people and beating on ladies and things like that. And I got into that world in 1997. And probably within the first 6 months I was in it, I saw more death and just hurtful things than a lot of people will see in a lifetime, you know. But I had a solution for all that. See, I had these little compartments where I put everything and I pushed it down and pushed it down and pushed it down, seen this, seen that, you know, and I had a solution. And it was another thing, you know, just like the Marine Corps. When I went in the checklist, you know, boots check, rifle check, house pack check, feelings was nowhere on that list. And law enforcement was the same way. You know, here's your bulletproof vest, your gun belt, blah, 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 you know, handgun, shotgun. Feelings wasn't on that list, so it worked out pretty good for this old boy right here. Because we can't be talking about feelings. We ain't supposed to feel anything, right? Ain't that the way it is? Suck it up, go on, that's part of it, have a drink. I was well versed in that, so I climbed in and was having a big time. We run it hard. Some of the guys that I worked with, we were crazy. Well, they're right, Paula. We were crazy. And what I know now was we had a lot of unresolved trauma. So we were acting out on it. And now you couldn't have told me that back then. And I remember about 3 years in, I was 26 years old. I was 22, getting ready to be 23 when I started. And I was 26 years old, and I went on a call, and I'd seen, like I said, I'd seen a lot of things, but I went on a call that was another big turning point for me in my drinking. And that was a fella had taken his family hostage, and he decided that he didn't want to be here anymore. So he knew what he had to do to get us to do what we needed to do to check him out. I didn't get in the business to do that. I didn't go in the Marine Corps to do that. And I didn't go in law enforcement to do that. But in May of 2000, coming up on 25 years, I had to shoot a man, and he died as a result of that. Now, did I run and say, "Yo, I'm hurt, I'm broken, I need this, I need that"? No, no, no. I had a solution. Guess what it was? Drinking. Listen, I should have had how many people in here say drinking? That chili's got y'all done laid down, ain't it? Craig, you better go around there and get them fired up, son. Yep, drinking. And I didn't realize I was an alcoholic. Now, I remember I was living in an apartment, and my beautiful wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, who had just come on board. Now, granted, we'd known each other for years. She just didn't come to her senses till later in life. But she had a diamond in the rough over here, and it was rough as hell. This one right here. I remember going home that evening to my apartment. She was there waiting on me. And she had bought me, this is so crazy to me to think back on this, but you bought me alcohol. Look here. Ain't no way in hell she's gonna buy me alcohol today, I promise y'all that. But she had bought me some kind of an anniversary bottle of Jack Daniels, and I sat it right in the middle of my kitchen table, and here's the crazy part. It sat there for a long time. I didn't open it. I didn't think about it. Kind of like when you go on a diet, you know, and you can't have your chocolate, then you start thinking about chocolate all the time. I didn't realize I was alcoholic. There's other stuff I drink in the fridge, but I remember going home that night and went through the door, and she hugged on me and kissed on me, and I went over there and got that bottle, and I started that thumbnail around that seal, and I stopped. And I said, you know what? I better not do this because she don't need to see. Now, looking back at that, I was an alcoholic, y'all. I was an alcoholic from the beginning, okay? But I thought, man, she don't need to see that. We'll save that for later. So I think I just drank some beers or something. But that changed me, y'all. That changed me. Fast forward a little while longer. And, you know, I tell people nowadays that she has issues. She's got the whole subscription because she stayed with me through all the crazy, you know. She stayed with me through all of it, and I am so grateful and blessed for you. Because I'd have got gone long ago, you know. But she stayed with me, and so, you know, we fast forward a little ways, and there was a period, I want to say something real quick from Brother James over here. He said, though my drinking was not yet continuous, it disturbed my wife. Y'all want to know how I figured out I had a drinking problem? That beautiful blonde right over there told me one day, she said, "You got a problem, you're drinking." Now, those of y'all that know her know that this, what I said, is inner monologue, because obviously I'm standing here in front of you all alive and speaking. But in my head, I said, "Yeah, I got a problem with my drinking. You're on my ass about my drinking. That's my problem." Yeah, keep your distance. But anyway, but yeah, so when she did that, man, that put me on the run, right? Because now I'm like, ooh, I'm caught. But I don't know I'm alcoholic, right? I don't drink all the time. I've got a job, you know, got a wife. I'm good. So, you know, I carried her, had her hostage, and, you know, went on about my things. And I excelled. You know, I was on patrol for 6.5 years. I was a detective for 4.5, which was about 6 years too long. And, yeah, man, a lot of trauma, a lot of head stuff. And in the last 5.5 years, I was over the training unit at the department. But I had started going to some meetings here and there, and, you know, I remember the first meeting I ever went to was in Central, when it was in the bottom of the professional building. And I got my chip, and I come home, and I said, "Look here, I'm good." So that set about this little experiment we did for a short time, where Paula said, "Well, you know, when you drink wine, your testosterone ain't so bad. You're not so crazy. I think you'll be all right." And I'm like, "Cool." Right? And it talks about that in the book. You know, we try all these other ways. And, you know, back then, y'all, where did you get wine? It wasn't in the gas station or the grocery store. Where'd you go to get wine? Liquor store. What's at the liquor store? Y'all are on point. So we would have us a little connoisseur, like I'd get a glass of a Chardonnay and be like, we need to try a Riesling. And I think she caught on pretty quick. She's like, "He's had a glass and a half of wine. He's over to the liquor store and back, and he is just tore out of his frame. Something ain't right here." Well, that's because that impulse purchase section up there at the front with all them 99 bananas and apples and oranges and everything else. She won't smell that, you know, I'm gonna hold it together. And I didn't hold it together, y'all, at all. So we figured out quickly, you just don't need to drink it all. And I'm gonna tell you all this. I started getting more and more scared, because I thought, man, what am I gonna do without alcohol, right? Because it's how I have run my life. I mean, it's how I didn't deal with things. It's how I got through. So I had to get creative. Y'all ever get creative about your drinking and hiding and everything else? I mean, you can only get shampoo in your eyes so many times a week. You know, like, why are your eyes so red? That's that shampoo again. I mean, were you in there washing your eyeballs with it or what? You know? But it kind of got serious, you know, when we found out we were pregnant with that beautiful daughter of mine over there. Christmas of 2004. We hadn't been married. There you got issues. You married me. What the hell's wrong with you? But anyway, yeah, we've been married for like 3 months, so we decided, we're going to have a baby. And when I found out, man, I was so excited. And you know what I said? I'm going to get sober for that little girl. Did that work, y'all? No. Nope. Now I wanted it to, but it didn't. So while we were pregnant, the first people we told were my grandparents. We waited the first trimester. We told my grandparents, and they were so excited. And they died in a car wreck right after we told them, not long after. And it was in Greenville, South Carolina. They were Lady Ball fans, and they were coming back from the tournament. Anyway, so we went down there. I've got an uncle that lives there, and we went down there, and your boys showed out to the point where my dad comes in and says, "Son, I need you to get your shit together." He said, "Your wife, pregnant wife, has gone back to Johnson City." And I thought, uh-oh. That's not good, y'all. Y'all ladies are sitting there ready to throw stuff at this boy right here, and I don't blame you. It wasn't good. Now, I'd love to tell y'all that straightened me up, but did it, Paula? It did not. So there was some more serious talks about me having a problem, so I started robbing AA on the regular. And I started going to a group out in Sulphur Springs, the Seekers group. And I met some amazing, amazing people. And we've lost some of them, and I love them and miss them. But, you know, I started hearing the things, and I would say the right things, and I get these little periods of time, you know, and then I'd be like, well, you know, I'm okay. Am I really? It's kind of like that game, Would You Rather? Am I really? But I was. You know, I was an alcoholic. My drinking got worse when I come to AA because I did not want to be that which I am, one of you all. You all mystified me. I thought, there is no way. How in the world are they living without drinking? So I said, I'm going to figure out how to do it right. Even though they told me, and them old heads in there, they loved on me. They seen it coming. They'd see it coming, and they'd always love on me when I come back in. And I'm grateful for that. They never told me, son, your ticket has been punched too many times. The carnival's closed. They allowed me to come back. So I was in and out, back and forth, in and out, back and forth, in and out, back and forth. And during that journey, you know, I mean, I'd work a little bit and then I'd fall back off. And it was funny, I remember I told my sponsor one time, I said, you know what? This program's one day at a time. I'm not going to pick them chips up anymore because, you know, I'm just going to focus on today. And he said, okay. Now, he knew what I was doing. I was feeling guilty about going in there and picking up a 6-month or a year chip when I ain't been sober 47 minutes, you know. But he loved on me, you know, he let it ride. But I was a mess, you know, and I'd stick around for a little while and then I'd go back. And it was just insane. It was insanity. So later on, now this is my story, all right, and this is part of it, so I'm going to put it out there and some of y'all can relate. And but I hurt my back, and this was one of the periods where I was dry. I was on a SWAT call, kicked the door in, end up 40 pounds of gear on, fall down, turn my back up. So y'all know where that went? The dry goods. Now, I'm an alcoholic. I'm not drinking. I can eat all these, you know, wonderful things that the doctor wrote for me. And y'all, this little fella right here, I was like, let's see, 1 every 4. I was like, how about 4 every 1? And they do this really cool thing. They say, take as needed. I'm like, well, hell, I need it now. It's like Tic Tacs. You can't eat one Tic Tac. You're going to get a whole mouthful of them things. Next thing you know, the whole box is gone. And then you got problems because of whatever they put in them things. It don't agree with your stomach. It goes sideways. Which is why I didn't eat chili this evening, by the way, y'all. I don't need to be up here and be on fire and be shooting dragon breath out and everything else. But, so yeah, so we got a little sideways and things got crazy and the ship hit the sand. And May 21st of 2013 was the last time I ever put anything in me to alter me. Now here's a cool little story. So May 22nd, my sobriety date. May 22nd of 2013, Paula and I have been together for 14 years, dating-wise. And at that time, we'd been married, I can't do the math on that, 9 years maybe? Yeah, 9 years. And so the little date anniversary was not great, y'all. I'm just saying. She was like not happy. I mean, no sense of humor whatsoever about any of this. And I'm like, you know, I'm over here like I need help, you know. She lip quivering, you know. And she one of them ones, she'll tell you like it is. You know it's bad when your wife meets you sometime and you drop this bomb on her and then you call your sponsor. You're like, well, I had to be honest with her. Yeah, why wish you'd have called me first? Maybe we'd have had a better delivery of your message. When you tell her the amount of dry goods you've been ingesting, she's like, what? And then she looks at you and says, you ain't nothing but an alcoholic, pill-headed thug. And you're ready to just crocodile tears coming out, lip quivering. And I'm like, please forgive me. I don't care how you feel. Please forgive me so I can feel better, right? Because that's what we do. And all that mess, you know, I don't deserve you, and please feel sorry for me, forgive me, you know what we do. But it was not good right then, but I went to my home group that I had been robbing for a long time that night, May 22nd, 2013. And, man, I went in there and I told him I need help, and there was a fella in there, Ted Morehouse, he's not with us anymore. And that fella, he loved AA and he loved recovering people. And he'd been an alcohol and drug counselor in the Navy, and his eyes would always well up with tears whenever he was sharing. But that night I told him, because I told Paula, I said, I need help. She said, find it. You know, you're talking about helping and whatnot, little sis. Man, that kind of set me back. I was like, oh man, but I'm grateful she did that. I needed to search that out. And So I went in and I mentioned it because I had called EAP and all of that. Yeah, we can get you in. We prefer you to do outpatient, you know. We can get you in June. I'm thinking, y'all need to go inside right now. I got to go inside. So anyhow, Mr. Ted got me hooked up with treatment. And that was a Wednesday. Thursday, he made a call. Friday, him and his wife drove me to Hope Valley over in North Carolina. Now, one of the hardest things I ever had to do in my life, and I've been through some crazy things, was tell that beautiful little girl over there when she was 7 years old that her daddy had a problem with alcohol and drugs and he needs to go get help. And we had asked Peyton what would be best for her about dropping me off or whatnot, and she decided that would be too hard, so Mr. Ted took me. And I'm grateful for that. And I've got this little card from her that I keep in my book that she wrote me. And I'm not even going to try to read that right now because I'll be a mess. But I keep it in my book. And it's the sweetest little thing, you know, that she wrote me while I was in treatment. But telling her that and going, so we go up the road, you know, Ted, his wife, dropped me off. But he said something to me that day. You know, being a Marine and having been in law enforcement, you know, I had all this in my head about I can't be whipped by a substance, right? The things that I have survived and been through. And we're going up the road and Ted said, you jarheads are all alike. He said, you cannot get your head around the word surrender because you think it means you're a chicken. You think it means that you're giving up. And he said, son, surrender is the beginning of this fight because we quit fighting everything and everyone, including alcohol. And it's like this light bulb moment happened in my head in the back of his car. And I was like, okay. So I went to Hope Valley. I went on a 28-day holiday. Y'all ever been on any of them? Some of y'all been on more than one, Stephen. But anyway, I went on that 28-day holiday, and they told me, they said, you can't fix home from here, so don't try it. So what did I do? I tried calling and fixing home and job and everything else. But a couple weeks in, it finally hit me. I'm like, okay. And a couple of things. There was a sign above one of the doors going down the hallway that said, God can mend a broken heart if you give him all the pieces. And I didn't see that for the first week and a half I was there because I was looking at the ground, but I finally started looking up. I would call home and Paul would let me talk to Peyton. And she didn't much want to talk to me again. She didn't have, don't tell her, but she didn't have much of a sense of humor. You know? Anyway, I don't blame you, baby. But I called one night, and Peyton was next door. I told Paula, I said, I didn't say, I need to tell you something. I said, I got something I'd like to tell you if you would listen. All these years I've been like, I don't deserve you, feel bad for me, forgive me so I can feel better, right? I said, the man on the other end of this phone deserves you. And I said, and I hope you're around. When he comes back, I said, I hope you'll stick around for the miracle because I'd heard y'all talk about the miracle and I'd seen it happen. So obviously she did, because there she sits. But that long period of reconstruction ahead, y'all, yeah, it wasn't like old Jason come back from the, now I wanted to come back, you know how we do, we got a couple months or a month and a half in, and we're like, yeah, patting ourselves on the back, and everybody should be all forgiven. There was a long period of reconstruction ahead, and I'm grateful for that too. I needed to feel every bit of that to be where I am today, to maintain and hold on to that sobriety, that gift of desperation that I so desperately needed. And but I came back. Man, things were different. I left the law world and I ended up going into the nonprofit world and working with people in recovery, and it was a beautiful thing. It was awesome. And through that journey, you know, eventually I became a CPRS, a peer recovery specialist, and it was so wild to look back because there's several of y'all in the room to know that, man, all that experience is what brought me to be able to help people. See, that isn't anything that I went through. Number one, God allowed me to walk through everything I walked through to be where I am today. He didn't put me through anything. If I take my past, use it to help others, it gives it purpose. And I give him the glory for it. See, that started clicking. So, you know, all those things that I went through were not for me. You know, it's for the next fella coming along. So in that, you know, I got back here and really climbed in the program. I climbed in the middle of the boat. I like to say, you know, it's like that Kid Rock video all summer long. If you sit on the edge of that wooden boat, you're gonna wind up in the drink. You're gonna get trued up by the prop. So I climbed in the middle of the boat and I put all the life jackets on and tied anchors around me and everything, tied myself in the steering boat. I said, I ain't coming out of this thing this time. You know, and so I did that, but I started getting involved, and I met one of my closest and dearest brothers over there. We called ourselves the Cop and the Robber. Because when we first met, he did not like me. He prejudiced against me. I was like, listen, I ain't never lock you up. I ain't never pour no liquor down your head. But what was funny was, you know, when Steve and I first met, you know, he didn't much care for me. But then, you know, he needed a ride, so we'd get rides. I'd gotten me a job downtown, and I'd drive into work. I'd drive back to Piney, pick him up, and he'd be pissed, and we'd have the meeting before the meeting, and go to the meeting, and he'd be pissed at the meeting, and he'd be pissed on the way home from the meeting. I thought, damn, he got it bad. I think I'm doing okay. But I love you, brother, and you have been a big part of my journey. And as many of y'all in here are, is why I am here today. But you know, that's what I was like, and that's what happened. All right? The ship hit the sand, and your boy finally heard the pop. Now, y'all know what the pop is. That's that head coming out of your ass. Or my head coming out of my butt, I guess I should say. And it wasn't all being like rainbows shooting out of unicorns' butts. They's hard days. Yeah, and I've had a lot of them of late. You know, because the thing is, you know, when we get sober, there's still, alcohol is but a symptom, right? It was the solution for all the crazy that we're dealing with or not dealing with. So I had a lot of work to do, and I've had an amazing sponsor and a lot of amazing men that have helped me along the way in this program. But I got involved, you know, got busy, got to doing the work, got to making friends, and man, I grew to love it. I used to wonder, how am I going to live life without alcohol, right? How am I ever going to have fun again? I mean, how do you go camping and fishing without alcohol, right? How does that even happen? How do you go to music, like concerts and festivals and stuff, without something on board? Because I've had some of them. I lost a Tim McGraw concert one time with Little Texas and Black Hawk back in 95 or 6, somewhere in there in North Carolina. Tried to sneak a bottle of wild turkey in, and it was upside down, and y'all know they got corks in them, and then I'm like, well, that's all down my legs. Let's just suck on a blue jean leg here, and we'll get the best we can out of it. But you know, yeah, right, I don't know where that came from. That just popped up. That's one of them flashbacks or something or other. We thought, hey, we'll be cool. Let's put all them beers around your belt there, Jeremy, and here, put one in the bag, and they'll catch us. So we'll be like, dang it, they got us. You know, but they knew. They said, them boys ain't got this one beer. They kept an eye on us and followed us all the way over to our blanket, and they was right behind us. We'll take that and that and that and that. They didn't have a sense of humor either, baby. But anyway, but meeting some amazing people, and you know, getting involved and doing the deal, doing the work. You know, seeing the next fella come along and being able to be there and seeing the value in my experience. Seeing the strength and hope in that experience. You know, we talk about in AA, we're responsible. When somebody reaches out for the hand of AA, we need to be there. You know, we don't always want to be there, you know, but we got to be there. And if I am not of sober mind, then how can I be any good to anybody else? I can't be any good to my family or any of you all. So like I said, it's been some hard times and some things, and I've experienced some things in sobriety, as many of you all have, and seeing a lot of y'all experience the things you have, and the fact that you didn't drink has inspired me. You know, to see fellas and ladies that have been around a lot longer than me say that they struggle sometimes, that gives me permission to struggle. It don't like, oh man, is that what I got to look forward to? Golly. No, it gives me hope to know that I'm not alone, and that you know, there's going to be those ups and downs. You know, it's kind of like an EKG line. If it does this right here, y'all, that ain't good, is it? best I got it figured, all them television shows like Grey's Anatomy and all them things, ER, Rampart, Squad 51, even back then, it's like, this is not good. We got to have some of this, And I tell people today, I used to have real long valleys and quick peaks, and it's kind of flipped around. I've got quicker valleys and longer peaks now as a result of a relationship with God and, the program, the Steps You People. And it's a beautiful thing. But getting in and doing the work, like I said, I was in the peer recovery world, and I knew, I told y'all I didn't like school. But I thought, I wanted to get to a place where I can be not only of maximum service, because that's the most important thing today. When Jason headed running, and my mind is like a bad neighborhood, I can't go in there without adult supervision or backup because I'm in trouble if I do. But when my mind gets to running, the quickest thing to get me out of there, we talk about own awakening, ask God to be divorced from selfishness, self-pity, all that self-seeking and things. So, doing that and getting busy helping others, I thought, I want to put myself in a position to be of maximum service to others. And being a veteran, I said, well, I want to go work at the VA. So I knew to do that, I was going to have a degree. So at 41 years old, and people had been telling me, you need to go to school, go to school. My boss at the time, Paula, she encouraged me, go to school. So I sat out with a couple of my brothers sitting right over there, and we went to Northeast State. And I was 41 years old, scared to death. And I told them, I said, I'm scared to death. Because I am a fear-driven creature. Y'all, fear is the other four-letter F word, kind of like pork is the other white meat. Right? Fear is the other four-letter F word. And man, I am shot full to the very core of my being. And I always talk about, when I talk about fear in a meeting, I think about my grandmother cross-stitching, and you know how tight those stitches are if you cross-stitch. And then you try to pick, Paula does embroidery, you try to pick that stuff out, it's in there, it's in there like a hair in a biscuit. So you're trying to get all that picked out, all that fear, and it's all wrapped around it. That's right, there's your visual. Get your razor out, shave that thing. But, I got all this fear, so I'm scared to death. Scared to death. But, and let me preface this real quick. I'm going to talk about some things, because I've been told you need to tell people about the good. I'll tell you all bad stuff all day long about me, but I feel real weird talking about good stuff. So please know that I do not boast, and God gets the glory for everything that has happened to me. But I got into school and I figured out real quick, I have a brain in my head. I didn't kill it all. Now I can't remember names, or if I'm talking on my phone looking for it, where's my phone at? I'll be like, oh, you're talking on it. I said, oh, that's okay. But I had a brain in my head for this school thing. And I got in there, and like we alcoholics do, we're overachievers. We're either going to drink it all because there's people that need jobs, and they depend on us, or, we're going to go at it as hard as we can. And I did that with school almost to a fault, because I was hard on myself a lot of times. And my brother James, he used to tell me, he'd say, he said, I think a lot of my buddy Jason, I wish you'd cut him some slack, because, you're beating up on him, that's child abuse, and God don't like us to abuse his kids. It usually pissed me off when he said that, because it was the truth, but I appreciated it, and I loved him for it. But, I set about my way, and I got in there, and I did really well. And I earned some scholarships, and I graduated Northeast State, and I won some awards and some things. And I had a 4.0, and that's just crazy to me to think to this day. I was like, wow. It's amazing what you do when you apply yourself. And because of that, King University does this thing every year called the College Dream Scholarship. And I applied for that, and I'd applied twice before. And here's the third time. I said, well, it's the third time it's going to be it. Well, third time is a charm. You just keep doing what God tells you to do. You be faithful. And I filled out the application. I had the grades, all the things. And I wrote a letter, what I was like, what happened, what I was like now. Just kind of giving my journey. And I ended up winning that, and I had a free ride to King University. I didn't pay for a sheet of paper. And it was funny because right before that, when I was leaving Northeast, you know how we'll like self-deprecate? They set me down to interview me for this thing, this award I won. I was joking around. I said, yeah, y'all don't know me. You don't know who I was. And I was kind of joking about it. They said, we know exactly who you are now. You know? So don't do that to yourself. Don't talk trash about yourself, y'all, is what I'm trying to say. I don't like hearing it. And there's some in here that have heard me say that. I don't want to hear it. Don't call yourself junkies and all this other shit. But can I say that? No, I just did. But I got through King, and then so I had a bachelor's of social work, and I knew I needed a master's to do what I do today. And I'll tell you what, man, I am so blessed to do what I do today. You know, getting to work with veterans that served us, and man, what an honor. Now, did I tell y'all I used to be an alcoholic, or I'm an alcoholic? I used to drink a lot. I'm always going to be an alcoholic. And then I had a love for dry goods. Did I tell y'all that? Well, I have a master's degree. I have a license through the state of Tennessee, and that tickles me. There's a lot of days I drive into work, and I'm either laughing because God's got a sense of humor. I'm like, man, this is wild. Or I'm crying because of the grace, you know, that I know is on my life and that He's given me. But it's all, you know, from being faithful. You know, I climbed in, I did the deal, and try to continue to do the deal. And it's tough some days, you know. The desire to drink left me a long time ago. I can't tell you exactly where I dropped my skier. You know, he's back through there, so it's like a Jeff Foxworthy thing. He's pulling the boat down the road without a trailer. He said, you know, you boat did, but you dropped your skier way back. I don't know where my skier fell off at. But he got dropped back through there somewhere. And, you know, I've not found it necessary to drink or use mind-altering chemicals for a long time, and that's God, and that's being involved. You know, that's working the program. Man, I have met some amazing people. All y'all in here, I love you. And ain't a damn thing you can do about it. You know, I had people tell me that early on, and I thought, they don't even know me. We know each other, don't we? You know, in a general way, we have been crazy, and then we went through what we went through, and then here we are now trying to be better. We are being better. We're putting one foot in front of the other. You know, I didn't understand a lot of those things early on. I didn't understand why them old heads kept letting me come around and that they didn't kick me out. I think there's part of me that probably hoped that they would back then, because you know how we do? Well, they won't let me back in. They won't let me back in. I'll just go, you know, we like to rationalize our drinking is what I'm trying to say. Give me an excuse, and I mean that one over there. There's many a time she said, we ain't gonna have that no more. You know, you ain't gonna use that crutch anymore. And I'm like, dang, I gotta come up with something new. But I'm grateful. You know, I'm grateful for those that laid the path in front of us and that continue to do so, that blazed that path. And you know, the thing for me today, and again, as it said back there, and the doctor's opinion of the privilege. What a privilege. It's heavy sometimes. It can be a lot, you know. You get a last minute call or something, and you may not feel like you're on your game, but I'm going to tell you something. It always shows up right when it needs to. Because, you know, with the program, even with the program, sometimes we go through things, don't we? You know, life happens. Life is hard. You see people you love going through struggles. And are any of y'all in here fixers? I know I got some Al-Anon people over here. I ain't gonna look. You know, your boy's codependent. I've got some issues. I'm gonna come over and y'all surround me here in a little bit. Tell me, say, what is it, the 3 C's, you know? Yeah. Things that we don't cause. What's it? Can't cure it. And didn't create it. That's the 4th one, isn't it? But we can contribute. I see it right there. I just need to hand the mic over here. Get that can of worms opened up. But you know, I say this to say, you know, we'll go through some things. And I've been through a season, and you know, we learn a lot from the seasons. That's the key. I think that's the key. As long as I don't put a drink or a drug in me and I hit that pill tonight, it's a victory, right? Now some of them are nasty. Some of them don't look so pretty. You know, and I want to say this, because I've got some brothers in here that I know have been up and down the ladder like I was for years. You know, I started robbing y'all 20 years ago regular, and I've been sober for 11 and a half years. Now, them numbers don't add up. I did about 8 years in and out, you know, on the Jason program. But I want everybody in here to know, I don't care how long, I don't care if you walked through the door yesterday, today, there is something that you have that I want, because sometimes we get further down the road and we're thinking, well, I'm good, right? And we get complacent and we forget. And the thing that's beautiful about staying plugged in and working with the others is seeing it green and remembering. I don't ever want to forget, y'all. I don't ever want to forget my last truck that I can't remember most of it. I know it wasn't pretty. I know that much. Like I said, it landed me on the path that I am today. But you know, if you're new in the program, or if you're just coming back around, keep coming back, y'all. Stay plugged in. When you don't want to, get plugged in harder. Let people know what's going on with you. Talk to those around you. Because we cannot do this alone. I have tried it. And still do sometimes. The committee will show up in town. I'm over going, you know. And man, I know this. I do not want to drink ever again. Now notice I didn't say I will never drink again. I will not say that. I know better than that. I ain't fixing to call that karma out. Lord. I said that enough times back in the day, and prayers going up, and hand grenades going off. Yeah, never again. But I don't have to today. And, you know, having that relationship with God and sponsorship, working the program, working the steps, being around y'all, staying plugged in is it. You know, it's funny. I got any fishermen in here? Right. I love to topwater fish. When them smallmouth hit them little topwater plugs, it just excites. It sounds like a commode flushing. Somebody throwing a flat rock off top of a cliff. When them fish are hitting the top water, I'm not going to say, hey, I'm going to throw a worm. I ain't going to do that, because I'm going to do what's working, right? So when you think about it in relation to our recovery, why do we quit doing what's working? I don't know. So I plan to keep doing this deal, because again, you know, I am a miracle, like many of y'all in here. We're all miracles, really. Once upon a time, if you told me I'd be standing up here talking about AA down the road, I'd have said you're crazy. If you'd have told me that my wife and daughter had been here, I'd have said you're crazy. But I know today, if you don't believe that I believe, and see it, because I see it all around this room. I see miracles. So keep coming back, because it does work if we put in the work. Put one foot in front of the other. You don't always want to. Let people in. You've got to let people in, because we can't do this by ourselves. All right then. Well, I don't know if any of that made any sense whatsoever. Like, I've had an outer body thing up here. I just came back inside over here. So hopefully that landed well, and hopefully y'all can get something from it. Because, and again, for those y'all just coming around, when we say that, you know, we will get more from helping somebody else than they ever will, that's the truth. And doing things like this right here and having this honor and privilege today has helped me more than y'all will ever know. So I thank you all for showing up. I thank everybody that put in all the hard work in the chili. Good for you for winning again, Ms. Ron. Did they say you won again? 2 years. Look at that. Stay away from her chili. It's got crack in it. You come to a room where you got a bunch of recovering people, we know how to reel them in. Put a little dust in there. Huh? You do what you got to do, right? Yeah, that's why I love y'all handling people. And let me say this. God bless y'all in Al-Anon. Some of my favorite speakers at Roundups have been Al-Anon because I didn't realize, and there was one of the ladies a couple years back, I didn't realize what a turd I was until I sat in that room and listened to her. I thought, oh man, I think I'm just grateful. I'm grateful you stuck around, beautiful. And you too, daughter figure. I'm grateful, grateful, grateful for people like y'all that will put your foot right up our ass. With that, I'm Jason Abernathy. I'm an alcoholic. Thank y'all for letting me share.